generally when you see animation, it basically means in India that it's for toddlers.
Right.
And we had to break that stereotype. We've seen the likes of Raja Mauliji sir doing Bahubali and RRRs and Pushpas. So the audience over here per se of this hinterland is used to big scale cinema, colorful cinema. So we wanted to give the same resonating experience. Music has to touch the soul. Once it does touch the soul, I knew this is the man who can do it. When it is backed by the BGM score and the music of Sam CS, everything just goes to the next level. Faith, love, these are universal languages.
Yeah.
And you possibly cannot go wrong with it if you do it well. So when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th skanda, in the 2nd skanda, it talks about these two brothers having these canine teeth sticking out.
Oh.
Yeah. Kalki Avatar is not just in a story of our land, but is a worldwide story. If you have a good story, using your phone or whatever tech that you have, it's all freely available.
Yeah.
So the only way you're not doing it is if you're procrastinating,
Yeah.
right? Or you're afraid.
Joyalika's world's favorite jeweler diamond wedding collection by Pride.
Juicy, spark the happiness, quench your thirst naturally.
Hello, Ashwin Kumar. Congratulations on Mahavatar Narsimha. I think, it would be good to say that we are facing the only man in the country who hasn't seen Sayara.
Well, that's quite an intro.
That's quite. I'm kidding, but obviously, you've been busy with your.
Yeah.
We were just having this chat earlier, and you mentioned this, so I thought I'd bring that in. But you've been, busy with promoting your work, and congratulations. I think you're going to become the highest Indian-made animated film in terms of the money collected gross. And you're also the debut director who's made this this achievement. So congratulations. But first, a little bit about you. I mean, you're talking. There's a lot of news about the movie that you made.
Yeah.
But which city are you from? That kind of stuff.
Basically, thank you for having me and lovely intro. And I will watch Sayara very soon.
Yashraj will be very happy.
So, see, I'm basically from everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm from everywhere. I was born in Thane, which is Maharashtra. My father is from Delhi.
Okay.
Ancestors from Pakistan, that area. And my mother is Nepalese. And some portion of my upbringing has happened in the Gulf, Muscat. And after that, we were settled back in Delhi. Then I was in Bombay for about 8-10 years, working about. And I've always been an artist. I think that's something that's come naturally to me since I was a child. And I've also been into theatre, arts, music, choreography, a lot of other stuff. And it all just accumulated into this, my spiritual impetus into this film. It just overflowed into this film. And that's who I am now today.
Right. So you're saying that this film is the result of you being an artist and because of your spiritual inclination. So that kind of flowed into what you were doing.
True.
Let's come back to the film later. Why do you think this film has connected with audiences at this level?
I think this is, see, everybody knows this story, first of all.
Right.
We have to admit and understand that. Everyone knows the pillar will shatter and the Bhagwan Narsimha is going to come out. So it isn't as though that Bhagwan won't come out this time around, right? So it's not the story, but it's experiencing the story. And this story has resonated in our collective conscience for many, many generations. We can't even count the number of generations.
Right.
So this is the story of Bharat, this is the story of our land, this is the story of our ancestors, and it's embedded into a collective DNA. I understand it like that, right? And hence, when you see it come to life and experientially, not just as a narrative, but when you experience the divinity, because there are a lot of scenes over here where you see Bhakt Prahlad talking to Lord Vishnu in his lap, And so we've all wondered, what would we ever say to Bhagwan if we ever met him? So it's these kind of soulful resonance. And of course, there's an entire bhakti movement that is there. And for Bhagwan to come and protect his devotee. So it's these kind of things that I think, culturally resonated very deeply.
Yeah, and if I may, for me, when I saw the movie, I felt that, it didn't matter whether you're a believer, you're a non-believer, whatever it is. All of us have heard these, at least a lot of us have heard these stories while we were little children.
True.
And so it's part of our core, whether it's in, I'm pointing here because it's gut reaction, or maybe it's here or wherever it is.
Very visceral somewhere.
Very visceral somewhere. It's inside, right? It's like it doesn't go away. And when you see it, it's like I felt like being a little boy again, especially the last 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I felt like this was like, it was far more, I would say, satisfying than watching a superhero movie from Hollywood, because there was that extra layer of whatever you've grown up with.
Correct.
I think that resonated too.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So if you've watched this film called The Passion of the Christ or something, but of course there's a Christian element, a religious element to it, but then it deals with faith.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with something called faith, so faith, love, these are universal languages.
Yeah.
And you possibly cannot go wrong with it if you do it well,
Yeah.
right? Because these are innate functions
Yeah.
of our being. So I understand where you're coming from, especially with the last 25-45 minute. It deals very deeply. It takes you, because the entire film is just setting it up for the last 45 to 25 minutes. Setup, the entire 45 minutes is set up for the next 45 minutes. That's how it is.
And I thought the way you've used sound is especially brilliant, because this is not the usual level of sound engineering that we hear in our animated movies. And I think it's also because we say it's an animated movie, let's this be the budget, we won't spend so much. But you had Hombale on board, and they are the producers of KGF and Salar. And for them to be on board, I think this just automatically became a bigger movie. When you narrated this idea to them that I want to do, and in fact here you combine two avatars, Varaha avatar and Narsimha avatar, because you're kind of fusing the two together. When you narrated to them that I have this interest, but I'm doing it not in live action, but as an animated feature, what did they say?
So the chronology didn't happen that way actually. Usually it happens the way on the script level when you go to a studio and pitch it to them. Over here it was a different route that we took. Over here the entire production is basically handled by Clean Productions, where Shilpa is the co-producer of the film. Where we have invested our own savings, life savings, etc. to get this film made, and later on by Apar Group, who came as a last mile funder to get the film done. Why? Because I knew that nobody can believe it till it's actually done. So we had to finish the entire film and then go pitch it out. So once the film was complete, then we went to Hombale, and once they saw the film, they were gracious enough and they had the vision enough.
You showed them the film?
We showed them the film. It was a longer cut of the film, and they loved it absolutely. And the very next day, we were on board, and they were on board with us for the next so many years. They as you can see, the entire cinematic journey of the film. So it was a different route, a very risky route to say the least, where there was no Sherpa. So we are the Sherpa finding our way out and digging our way through. And it just kind of happened that way. And sound, yes, you bring it, because sound is completely another dimension, right?
Yeah.
And so important. Why? This is not a live action, so there is nothing that's true. Everything is digitally created, rendered. So there are two aspects of the sound. One is through Karan Arjun, who did the Foley and SFX, where you see even the kundal moving, you hear the sound. Even the footsteps, the foot stomps. So Narsimha Bhagwan will have a different kind of a stomp. Hiranyakashipu will have a different stomp. Everything to the minus. The cotton cloth falling versus the silk cloth falling will have a different sound. So that minusculely getting that environment created, and then when it is backed by the BGM score and the music of Sam CS, everything just goes to the next level.
Right. Yeah. How did you get Sam CS on board?
So when we were looking, me and my assistant director Rudra, when we were looking through what kind of music that we need, I kind of had the sample for the entire film. When I was looking for the musicians, I went through Sam CS's discography, and I went through his film called Jada.
Okay.
It's a Tamil film, and what beautiful music! I knew this is the man who can do it. Why? Because it just touched my soul.
Okay.
That's the language. Music has to touch the soul. Once it does touch the soul, I knew this is the man who can do it. And here we were with Sam CS, and lo and behold, he loved. When we showed him the film, it was rather like grayscale. A lot of things were unfinished. But very with close serendipity, he had done an animation just few years back for a Korean film, I believe. So he understood the nuance of animation.
Right.
So look at the divine plan, how it manifests. So he took it up immediately, and he said he's on board, and that it was history.
There's something when you narrate the story of how the movie got made, the movie is about belief.
Yeah.
And you had to have total belief that this project would work.
There was no other way about.
Because there was no, because you're not, like you said, it's not a studio coming on board and financing it.
Yes.
You're doing this yourself with
Yes.
the belief that I'm going to find a way to get this to screens.
Yes.
That's like...
Yes, that's how it is. Like, it's do or do. There's no die.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You just have to do it. You're thrown off the building, and by the time you hit the floor, you need to know how to make a plane and fly it off.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how crazy it is.
Can you tell us how much the budget is?
Yes, of course. So the current budget stands at 40 CR is where we are. That includes the marketing, and still going on because we're doing a worldwide marketing now because it's released globally.
Yeah.
But then if you compare it to any Hollywood feature or most Indian feature, then it's obviously way less for an animation of this scale. And that's where we are at it.
40 CR is amazing because now just the Hindi version alone is, we are on day 16 as I'm speaking to you now. The Hindi version alone is going to collect, it's going to do 100 crores, so that's amazing. And now you have the other versions going, taking off like anything. So let's talk a bit about the animation, because the other thing, we mentioned the sound, the music, all that, but the other thing was the visual, right? Your Prahlad is this size. What I'm used to is seeing, let's say, the panel of an Amar Chitra Katha, where Prahlad is this size, Hiranyakashipu is maybe this a little bigger, and then Narsimha is maybe a little bigger. But here it's like the dimensions are like this and like this, So tell me about your vision for the animation, or rather the visuals.
See, I knew it from the get-go that we're going to do a big spectacle.
Okay.
Right? That was clear in my head. Like a never seen before experience spectacle on the Indian screen at least. Right? Because we have a lot of Hollywood feature that do that kind of scale. So the visual stylized, right? The stylization had to be more realistic than a toon. That's one. So as to for people of this land to believe that it is true. Because generally when you see animation, it basically means in India that it's for toddlers.
Right.
And we had to break that stereotype. So hence the stylization of the film is rather more realistic, not hyper real, but it's more towards realism, so that in the course of the film you kind of forget that it is actually an animation that you're watching. You know that it's a film that you're watching that happens to be an animation. Right? So that was a visual choice, and then we knew that we needed to do a big set pieces. Why? Because we've seen the likes of Raja Maulijji sir doing Bahubali and RRRs and Pushpas. So the audience over here per se of this hinterland is used to big scale cinema, colorful cinema. So we wanted to give the same resonating experience, not to try something out of the box that way, because they're used to that kind of a cinema. And then you bring God level mode with the Varahaswamy and Narsimha Swami, that goes even higher, because now from that cinema you're taking it celestial. That's never happened before. Right? So you're doing all these factors, right? Playing around with the mood and psychosis of the audience, giving them what they know and what they're used to, yet taking it big.
I've always felt that our own masala cinema is a descendant of our mythologies and other things 100%. Because we don't have in our cinema, somebody does not have to be bitten by a radioactive spider in order to gain strength.
True.
The hero does a dishum and 40 people fly, we accept it. It's a suspension of disbelief that automatically happens. And that's because of what we've heard. This God came and, something happened and all the evil people he destroyed or whatever it is with one Sudarshan Chakra or whatever it is. That at least that model, I'm not comparing the two, but you know what I'm saying, right? That thing, when, why did you choose to, imbue some of the more fantastical features, like for example the bigger teeth, like the canine or whatever you want to call it, the bigger teeth, the ogre teeth, those kinds of things, because you're saying realism, but you're also going a little into a fantastical thing. So talk to me about that.
So when we were researching about the frames of the character, the characterization and the character per se, the design of the character. So the most authentic way is to go to the Shastra, because we are trying to stay true to the Shastric source as well. Giving them the high paisa vasool film, but we want to stay true to the Shastric roots. So it has the description same. So when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 7th skanda and the 2nd skanda, it talks about these two brothers having these canine teeth sticking out. So that means whatever the West has basically copying is from here. And what we are trying to reminisce on the West is actually basically a partake of this land.
Right. So when you say West, you mean Tolkien, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That kind of it. So basically, the hinterland stories are the source of these stories. So where it does say the Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu twin brothers, they have two large canines sticking out from their jaws.
Right.
Right. And they have golden hair, some of them, and they are carrying this golden griddles, right? And Hiranyaksha is carrying this mala.
Okay.
So you see this in the film. Hiranyakashipu breaks a statue of Bhagwan Vishnu and wears a mala.
Yeah.
So all that's basically collected from the Shastric sources.
Okay. So what was your research material?
Of course, like I said, the Srimad Bhagavatam, that's one of the biggest Shastric sources by Srila Prabhupada and many others that were written. And we had the Narsimha Puran, the Vishnu Puran. This is where you'll find these stories.
Right.
Plus the stories of this land also.
Right.
So if you go to Ahobilam, so there's actually a place where it is said that Narsimha Bhagwan washed his hands after killing a lot of soldiers, hence the water is red. It's called Rakta Kunda. You have that in the film as a premonition when Hiranyakashipu is out there, sitting by himself, right? And he sees this lake over there and he says, Narsimha washes him.
Yeah.
Like a scary premonition, like a foreshadowing in the film.
Yeah.
Right? So all these things are true to the land and we've just simply put it in right places in the film.
Right. So when you say stories of the land, you mean
like a Holika Dahan too. Like
right,
Holika Dahan is the festivity of this land.
Yeah.
But it's not there. It's a folklore.
It's a folklore.
But a portion of it is in the Shastra, but not exact.
Right.
But we present it. Why? Because it is important to the people of this culture.
Right. So there is this big debate going on whether all this is mythology or is it history? What is your take on that?
My take is that it is history for true.
Okay.
Right? Is it a literal history? Is there something that you can debate?
Yeah.
For me, it is a dimensional history. All our histories don't have to be an accurate present, like a physical form history, right?
Okay.
Because what I see it is the ancient seers had many other access to many other dimensions.
Like an astral dimension?
Astral dimension, many other dimensions. So this story need not be true on just this plane is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But nevertheless, however you would wish to, even if it is a fantastical story for some, it is true to the ancestors of a land at least. You can agree to that, right? Because the story is carried forward. It's there in the temple architecture, it's there in the temple dioramas. You see them all around, right? You see so many, the stories, carried forward by these local tribes. It exists in the land. You go to the tribal areas of this land, Narsimha Swami is revered Ishtadev over there.
In tribal areas?
In tribal areas. Okay. In the hinterland, even in Himachal, he is revered. In Badrinath, he is revered. In Jagannath Puri, he is there. South, it's Ahobilam Kshetra. Down south in Chennai is Tirumala, that's Ahobilam Kshetra again over there. Ishta Bhagwan, Balaji is Bhagwan, is Narsimha Swami. So it's there through the hinterland. And if you go to Egypt, next to the pyramid, you have the Sphinx, which is half man, half lion.
Yeah.
Right, protector of the land. If you go to the Norse and Greece philosophy, you have Aslan or the lion protecting the children against the witch who would want eternal life. It's the same story, right? You go to China, you have a lion day. You go to Japan, you have a lion. It's everywhere. But the mool of the story is here, is what I'm saying.
Right. So what is the word you're using? A dimensional history.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an interdimensional. Our Shastras talk about interdimensional reality. They don't just talk about the physical plane reality.
So you're saying, when you're saying history, it's not like, let's say, the Cholas, or like you're not talking about Rajputs, that kind of actual physical history.
It's an interplane dimensional story.
Like it happened on another
plane.
Dimension or plane that is not of the earthly.
Not of the earthly realm.
Right. Okay. So the dimensional history is what you're talking about. Right. Do you think that films? See, this film has become unexpectedly big and deservedly so, I would say, because it's such an experiential film, because you kind of think that a film like this has nothing to surprise you, and which is why I kept, I put it off for a week, saying that I don't know if I really want to watch this, and no disrespect to you, simply because I'm like, okay, they say it's animation, and Indian animation has always been they've tried, but we don't have the money, the resources to put together a thing. So I was blown away by what happened at the end, right? But the second thing is also, I know the story, what are they going to do? We've tried this, and certain bad memories of certain earlier films that came, that was also there. So I just gave this a pass for a week. My apologies. And then when I watched it, I suddenly understood. I watched it purely not because the movie is a success. I was like, as a person who writes about cinema or talks about cinema, I need to know what's going on. That was purely that was still not thing. When I saw the film is when I really got gobsmacked, and I said, wow, this is something else. This is really something that they've done. When you look at this film coming out of nowhere and just capturing the imagination of so many people, and when you talk about the upcoming Ramayana, which has action, it's a live action movie, do you think it's just a coincidence, or do you think there's something cultural happening that is big, that's making all these stories come out together?
The ancients are rising, that's for sure. You can feel it. You can feel it in the way. You can feel it in cinema, art, everywhere.
Okay.
I just know the ancients are rising because the learnings are coming back. We are just coming a full circle. That's how I see it.
Okay.
But that being said, kudos to the artists at Clean Productions who have been around and trying to make this endeavor truly happen and manifest, right? Because it's not been an easy feat, especially so many stereotypes had to be broken.
Yeah.
That animation do not work in India. So that's an opportunity that we seek.
Yeah.
I looked at it as an opportunity. Nahi work kara, that means it must work. There must be a way to make it work, right? So you figure out what's gone wrong and you do all the opposite, right? Then you need big stars to make big films. We didn't have the funds to do that, and we are doing animation anyway. So let's just take things, play to our strength and take things to the next level. But let's give them that fantastical experience.
Right.
So you play to your strengths and everything can happen. And of course, then you have budget constraints, everything. And yet the film kind of proves, this kind of a film proves that for the young, and if you have enough fire in your belly with whatever resource you have, it will not be a surprise for you, brother, that in the next 5 years, 3-4 people would make a film in the garage that hits 1,000 CR. I know so, right? Why? Because the tools are just available now.
Yeah.
You just need to get out and do it, right? If you have a good story, you're using your phone or whatever tech that you have, it's all freely available.
Yeah.
So the only way you're not doing it is if you're procrastinating,
Yeah.
right? Or you're afraid. So, and we didn't give those options to ourselves. So there we went about and just did it.
What was you've never made a feature film before.
Yeah.
When you got into this, yes, we're talking about belief and all that, but was there any fear at all that I may not be able to achieve what I have in my head? Because the biggest thing about filmmaking is we have it in our heads, but the translation of that head image into a visual on screen is what the biggest challenge is.
So I think what really helped me over here is my experience in the VFX and animation, and me being an artist, and me also being hobbyist musician, if not and a choreographer, a serious choreographer for some part of my life. So it was very natural for me. That's the point. That's why there was no fear. Was I dwelling into an unknown completely? Some portion, yes, because I do not know the outcome.
Yeah.
But what I'm creating, I already visualize it. I see it in my head.
Yes, and because you already visualized before.
Yeah. And I'm in the habit of doing it, right?
Yeah,
So it's as a force of habit, it just translates into something.
Yeah.
The difficult part is to getting my artist to believe it.
Yeah.
It's like telling them, bro, this will work. Don't worry. Let's just do it. Let's just keep doing it.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, we do it again. For them to have that belief on me.
Yeah.
That is what takes more of the energy consumption, right? To have the producers believe on me, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Right. And for them to see the vision, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel, and and for them to believe that and go along till we actually make it happen. That is what takes more power. And hopefully in the next ones that will not be the case, right? Because
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
But things can still go south, right? If I'm not careful and all this hype gets to my head. So I'm just trying my best to stay grounded on this, because there's so much to be done.
Yeah.
This is just one proof of work, I can say.
Like a proof of concept.
It's a proof of concept, right? That it can happen. And here the industry, our land has been sleeping on such a beautiful medium of animation, which is the best form of storytelling, I believe, because it gives you a creative freedom like no other.
Yeah.
Your creativity and your imagination is your limitation at the same time. You can take it to anywhere you want to. And we are the hinterland of stories,
Right.
So we should be able to embrace these stories, use the power of animation, beautiful artists who have been working for service sector for the West and East, best to use it for our own indigenous culture, our own stories for the indigenous people, and create an economy out of it. That is my dream.
Right. So there are different types of animation. There is cell animation. There is 3D rendered, whatever it is, computer animation. So because or to put it simpler, the Walt Disney, old Walt Disney movies versus Pixar or whatever it is. So what is this thing that you've done?
This is a 3D animation.
Okay.
And it's basically you can have 3D in a motion capture also. See, at the end of the day, it's puppetry, right? So you have a mold, you create a puppet, you paint it, you rig it with some strings, and then you move it, you cast some light on it, you shoot it. That's exactly, but we do it digitally. Right. So, but we do not have like motion capture in this. Usually,
so it's not like stop motion.
It's not stop motion. It's digitally created. Each frame that you see is digitally created by hand, as in rendered, and it's meticulously animated by hand. So we could have like there's some motion capture technology, like we shoot people and just impose the same motions on the character. We didn't do that. It's meticulously created, hand keyframed.
Right.
So for a one second, it takes 24 frames to 30 frames. We did a 30 frame. So each frame can take about 2 weeks of creation. And then once you have a 1 second, then a 10 second, 30 second, 1 minute, you do not like it, you do it all the way. So it's a very painful, it's a labor of love. That's all I can say.
It took...
That's 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
Yeah.
So that's like... And is there any like a difference in the way you approach the scripting for a live action film versus an animation film?
Yeah. Because the audience is more used to seeing certain expressions and reality,
right?
And you are a suspension of disbelief is furthermore in animation. So the exaggeration has to be furthermore, so that you are taking a leap of faith, right? But you have to believe in that leap of faith, because if you do not believe in the leap, you like it's out of place here, and you sync out, then the harmony is broken between the audience and the film.
Yeah.
So to have that meticulously placed is something that we were taking care. So in the expressions, in the set design, in the lighting, what is supposed to be focal, in the beautiful scene, in the depressive scene, so it's very meticulously created.
For example, supposing a live action scene would be the young Prahlad enters the room. I'm talking about the script, and there's dialogue or whatever it is. What would you say in animation?
So in animation, I would exaggerate the screenplay, where the Hiranyakashipu over here, let's suppose per se, he stands up and he's walking aggressively but slowly. So the resounding action. So you're not just caught up with the animation is not up to the mark, or the lighting is not. There is something else that's going on at play. That's the the feeling.
Right. So you write it how?
I have a different process. I draw it and then write it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh.
So obviously I have my Jayapurna Das, who was the co-writer, who did the main writing and the screenplay.
Right.
But me being more of a visual artist, I would draw, create and write and change the course of the screenplay to make it more visceral.
Can you mention something that you changed, for example, that was written? Can you tell what was written first and then what changed?
So let's say, suppose this scene itself. So Jayapurna Das, who is a fantabulous writer, he wrote the set piece, like Hiranyakashipu is addressing his son. There's a conflict, right? There's a confrontation, but the action that's happening over here is I want the feeling of an anticipatory conflict getting higher, rising through the scene, right? So what I would do, he did not have the set in front of him when he wrote it. So once I created the set, I created it in such a way that if you've seen the film, right? So the king who dies in the first half, he curses Hiranyakashipu that you're going to step down and face your death. So we use it as a foreshadowing. So Hiranyakashipu steps up and he steps down as Prahlad is talking, and slowly he comes down facing his death.
Right.
And yet the conflict starts. So these are little things that was not there in the writing, but we put it in the screenplay.
Right. And in a way, it's a little like directing.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of taking a script and making it visual. That's what it is.
But my style of direction is meditation, art, and screenplay, not the other way around.
Meditation.
Yeah.
As in?
So I would meditate upon what is to be created.
Right.
I would try to imagine it. Then I would draw.
So you first imagine things, and then the images appear.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we are seeing there is actually like they
part of my
popped up.
meditation.
Yeah. It's not like something you iterated and found on a computer or something like that. So
it's all through meditation.
And then you were able to get this image in your head into the computer and say,
so I would get some grand image, like a Prahlad being pushed down the cliff. I have just one image. Started with one image of that old guard slowly trying to push. There's just one image with wind blowing.
Yeah.
So I get the master image by the divine. I believe it's a part of the divine. So I would get that image, and everything would be created around that hero shot.
Yeah.
and then everything is built around that.
Yeah, that's what A.R. Rahman also says. He says, that, when you ask him how do you create music, he just says, I don't know, I open myself up and it comes to me.
It just comes. It just comes.
Yeah, so that's like I guess some people call it creativity, some people say divinity, whatever it is.
I think it's divinity.
Now, there are 10 avatars of Vishnu and you have planned 7 films though.
Yeah.
Now, in this film, let's first talk about this. Why did you begin with Narsimha avatar? And with a little prelude of Varaha avatar. Why did this become, as opposed to the Matsya and the Kurma, which are the first 2?
So there are multiple chronologies that we could have followed, right? But this chronology happens with the actual. We'll be releasing this part soon. It's called Jaya Vijaya.
Okay.
Who are the guard keepers of Vishnu?
Vishnu, yeah.
Right. Who basically have they are cursed and they fall down from that Vaikuntha.
They are basically the brothers.
Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha.
Yeah.
So that was the logical way to have the story. And then the second film of Ramayana, they are Kumkaran and Ravana.
Yeah.
Right, and the similar in the Mahabharata. So they have 3 lives.
Right. So I'm going to read this out. So you have, after this, you're having Parshuram.
Yes.
So that's 2027.
Correct.
Then there's Mahavatar Raghunandan.
Yeah.
That's the Ram story.
That's the Ram story.
And then there's Mahavatar Dwarkadish.
So that's Sri Ram and this is Sri Krishna.
Okay.
Sri Krishna Dwarkadish is the strategist Sri Krishna that we know of. The one who sets up the Kurukshetra. And,
Okay. And then you have Gokulanand.
That's the Vrindavan Sri Krishna, which is more of his childhood pastimes, which are more bhakti movement. That's where it's.
So then you have a 2-part conclusion
of the Kalki.
Kalki part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
That's so this division of the avatar. So you're abandoning the Matsya and the Kurma?
No. Just like in this film, you saw 2 avatars: Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Vaman avatar, Buddha avatar. All will be covered, but they're sewn into the story.
Okay.
So that they have a meaning. I don't just want to present it.
So your base is this Jaya and Vijaya.
Yeah. For this film. But that story is also going to be woven into the Dashavatar story.
Right. So what made you say I want to tell Krishna avatar in 2 parts? One is the younger Krishna and one is the older Krishna.
Yeah.
What made you say that?
Because see, Krishna is the most phantom figure of a history, if you look at history. And there's so many prisms. You can have Bhagwan Krishna, but none of them are complete because he is unexplainable character.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Sri Krishna, right? So, but what we could do, at least as a homage, what we can do is his work as a strategist, his work as a chieftain, as a person who is helping dharma, is different than his work as his leelas in his Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to split the 2 so that the prisms are split.
Right.
But they are related also in many ways.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult task to get Sri Krishna, but I just seek his blessings that somehow we are able to do some justice and get. And there are a lot of hearsay, and there are a lot of rumors about a lot of these stories. Even those need corrective presentations. So we're going to be doing that as well.
Right. What is the rumor that you want corrected, for instance?
Like, for example, you have the Rasa Leela that is completely misunderstood. You have Sri Krishna, leaving Vrindavan. Why did he leave Vrindavan and stuff like that? So a lot of these things are there. Why did he set up the Kurukshetra war the way he did when he's God himself? So there are many, tarka or logical fallacy that we need to correct.
Yeah, so there is also, with Krishna, I find him the most interesting avatar because he is also the most human, as represented down the years. As opposed to Ram, who's very godlike and noble, and there's a
very pristine and
very
high prestige.
Whereas Krishna is very earthly in a lot of ways, and when you read people like Jayadev or Andal, she treats him like a husband almost. She's jealous when other women come to him.
Correct.
Or when you treat Jayadev, he's frankly, there's extraordinary erotic literature about Krishna and Radha.
Yes.
So how do you see that Krishna alone has inspired this many interpretations?
Yes. He's basically a Poon avatar. That in the stream of avatar, he is the fountainhead of all avatars. Right. And because he shows all these shades, but yet he remains himself.
That's why you say phantom.
Yeah, that is a phantom figure. You cannot, no matter how many prisms you have, you cannot stem him down into that one figure. Right? And but the beauty is that whatever lens you view him with, he becomes yours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say for like Jayadev Goswami, he looks at him at a different figure, right, and with love and reverence. Like all the gopis would look at him as a as a figure of love.
Right.
Yashoda Maiya would look at him as a figure of son.
Yeah.
Right. Even Draupadi would look at him as a figure of friend. But to all of them, he's complete.
Yeah.
What a difficult task for a human.
Yeah.
That's why he's not human.
Yeah.
That's why he's God.
Again, why 2 Kalki avatars?
Because Kalki Avatar is not just in a story of our land, but is a worldwide story. Of course, it's set up in a dystopian future, but you have the Buddhist text talking about him, you have the Arabian text talking about him, you have the Mayan text talking about him. So I want to encapsulate all these texts and give him a worldwide stage about what the entire dystopian afterthought of the world is, and how that one Messiah will come and save one that happens to be Kalki. I need to cover all those things properly.
Do you believe, like the Christians believe in Armageddon, and do you believe that there is going to be a day of reckoning, a pralay kind of thing that will reset the clock, so to speak, and begin?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
It's cyclical. Entire human psychology is cyclical also.
Right.
We keep coming back to the same lessons again and again. So it's not for me, I feel circles and cycles are a very natural form of nature.
Right.
Even because we are part of nature, so hence we are also going through these cycles all the time.
Yeah.
So these are time cycles, emotional cycles, and they're bound to repeat themselves.
And when you have the story of Lord Rama in one episode, it's a vast epic.
True.
The various Khans are like there's some 7 or 8, there's them kind of a thing. There's Bala Khan, there's a kind of all that kind of thing, right? So how are you going to compress it into?
So my strategy for, of course, take a Ramayana, because Ramayana has already been done so many times, right? But we want to do it. We want to present it shastrically, and of course we cannot do the entire Rama avatar, because Sri Ram avatar is again very pristine, and it has to be done very like that old Japanese anime, if you've seen the famous Lord of what's called Ayodhya, Prince Ram. Have you seen that Japanese anime? It's a fantastic anime. But we want to bring the reverence of Sri Ram as per the thought of the continuum of Jaya Vijaya also. So there's so many prisms to look at. So we will take a Shastric point of view, and we'll see how we build upon that.
Right.
So, but we cannot obviously do the entire Ramayana.
Right. So the Humbale films, with their press release, called this a universe. Is it a universe in the sense of just everything being related to Lord Vishnu, or like the multiverse films, are people going to be crossing over?
So yes, this one is of course related to Lord Vishnu, the Dasha avatar. Actually, there are 22 avatars.
Yeah.
It will be covered not just only through the films, but we also have games. That will be producing a game. We'll be also doing comics. So using all these mixed media mediums, and then probably and hopefully with your prayers and support, we will be able to get merchandise and probably even an amusement park one day, just like you have a Marvel.
Yeah. And what are some of your influences?
Like aesthetically?
Yeah.
I study a lot of art.
Okay.
I study a lot of art. From the Renaissance to Japanese manga to the South Indian art style of Tanjore. I just love art. I'm an artist by heart. So whatever inspires me, I just take it in.
Because I found the light and shadow work in this movie very interesting. There is a real dimensionality, and I don't mean this just in terms of 3-dimensionality, but like you said, Renaissance. It's like how like a Caravaggio or somebody like that would paint, with that kind of, the light I'm talking about, right? Some kind of,
yes. I think those influences come from the same place that you're talking. It's just like it's embedded in my conscience somewhere.
Right.
Even Akira Kurosawa, from a filmic point of view, and Satyajit Ray. These are my go-to people that have inspired me. And of course, the latest Marvel, and of course, they also have so it's a mixed bag. I can't put it to one source of inspiration.
Yeah, it's like East and West.
Everything.
Fantastic. I wish you all the best. You have your schedule full until 2037.
Yes, we'll
so
be meeting many times.
Yeah, that's 2037 is when the second Kalki movie is going to release.
Yes,
so all the best for the future. Like 12 years. Yeah. That's a long commitment.
That's a long way to go.
Do you ever feel like I want to take a break and make a small live action movie and then get back to this?
I'll be making 2, in fact.
Are you going to?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot needs to be done, brother. But I need to be making 2 films, 2 live action. One is a horror, and the other film is going to be based on Ardhanareshwar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All the best, and I'm very, very happy for you.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lovely meeting you.
Lovely meeting you too. Thanks.
Joyalika's world's favorite jeweler diamond wedding collection by Pride.
Juicy, spark the happiness, quench your thirst naturally.